There are so many structures, frameworks, storytelling techniques. Prescriptive, formulaic approach to storytelling, in my opinion, is not very helpful to actually creating good writing. Structure is a great tool, and it can be really useful when you're writing stories. But if you take structure too seriously, if you just do it to do it, and you aren't thinking about, is this the best way to tell my story? Does this feel good? Does this feel natural to the story I'm trying to tell? You're probably going to be making some arbitrary decisions. Arbitrary decision making kills stories. Structure can be really useful, and I am not saying that you shouldn't use structure in your storytelling and that you shouldn't use forms as a starting point, but if you're using it blindly, it can be an impediment. The benefit of using a form versus a formula in storytelling is that form frees you from decision fatigue. Using a form like that to get started, it's another thing you don't have to think about, so you can focus on your characters, you can focus on the dialogues, you can focus on getting from point A to point B and getting finished page count. But if you get to the point where you're reading your script and you're like, oh gosh, but the inciting incident didn't happen on page 7.5, and now I've got to restructure things. No. Do whatever you need to do. Formula, forms, however you want to define it, to get to the act of writing. But don't mentally constipate yourself by arbitrarily trying to fit in some really detailed specifications into your story. Once you have the pages, think, does this feel right? Does this feel good? Does this work? Does this make sense? Does this story feel like a good story, right? These are the questions that you should be asking yourself as a storyteller. Don't just be making decisions to make decisions. Don't just follow formulas or forms blindly. At the end of the day, creativity is confluence, the act of making connections between two different things that usually don't go together. Creativity is about openness. And if you're so worried about hitting a specific plan or hitting specific beats or making sure that the script perfectly matches the outline, you're not going to be open to making decisions that are going to make your stuff great. You want to be open enough to follow that wild idea, follow the rabbit hole, see where it goes, be creative, express it, while relying on form enough to give yourself that freedom. Because the blank page is really claustrophobic and oppressive to most people. Having your act structures really clear, knowing your act breaks, being intentional about that in an outline. I'm a big believer in outlines. I think they're a really useful tool, but it is not objective truth in reality. An outline is just an outline. If you're using formulas as kind of a shortcut, expecting just good things to happen along the way, you're probably not thinking very deeply about your story. You could take those same tools, that same formula, with an open attitude and let ideas flow freely and use the structure to reduce your decision fatigue, reduce the amount of time you spend worrying about things. Okay, I know what my third act is going to be because it's got to have this beat, whatever. Just get to that version. But when you step back and you look at the work you've done, try to judge it on its own merit and how it makes you feel, rather than some rules some screenwriting guru made up to sell a book. At the end of the day, find the form or formula that helps you engage deeply with your own work and your own creativity. The act of daily creation, writing pages, telling a story, that is what matters. Connecting to characters telling truth, connecting to the stories you want to tell about the world, that is what's important. And true, there are technical, professional considerations. If you're trying to sell a movie in Hollywood, don't write a 300-page script that has 20 acts. No, you're just not going to get anywhere. You have to know what the professional context is. You're trying to sell a speculative horror film that's in the low budget range. You want it to probably be pretty 90 to 100 pages and be really tight and specific and commercially marketable with clear act breaks and, have your inciting incident happen soon. All of that stuff can be true. But in the process of writing, don't let that hamper your greatness. You can be great in spite of limitations like that. You can be creative and open within those limitations. You can use those limitations if you're not obsessing about them to an arbitrary degree. Like and subscribe if you want more content like this, and check out one of our courses, NYU Professor John Warren, Writing the Short, Writing the Feature. Writing the Feature covers everything you need to know about writing feature screenplays from idea to final draft, and it's very similar to John's advanced screenwriting course at NYU. Have a great day, and thanks so much.